Hi, my name's Phil Burns and I'm going to quickly run through how to resize your digital images for competition at Prestwich Camera Club. As you can see, I am using Photoshop to make these alterations. You will find a corresponding video on the website that deals with Photoshop elements for those users who use that particular program. Okay, let's start. Prestwich Camera Club has a standard of 1600 pixels wide by 1200 pixels high with a print resolution of 200 pixels per inch. So first of all, we have to establish the size of our image. Now in this case we have a landscape image, so the critical size is the 1600 pixels wide. So let's find out just how big this image is. If you go to Image, Image Size, you will see here in the image size box that the size of the image is 5236 by 3136 with a print resolution of 300 pixels per inch. Okay, now let's make it the size it needs to be for good projection at Prestwich Camera Club. First of all, we have to alter this resolution, this print resolution. So we alter that to 200 pixels per inch. That's critical that you alter this size first. Secondly, because this is a landscape image, then this, the width, is the critical size. So we now alter that to 1600 pixels wide. Don't worry about the height. This you will see how it is corrected a little later on. So now we've got the two critical bits done, the width and the resolution. We can now click OK. Our image quality hasn't altered in any way. All that we've changed is its projecting size. However, as you remember from the image size, the image is the correct width but not the correct height. We're now going to correct that problem by adding what's known as black space, top and bottom, to make it 1200 pixels high. We do this to aid in projection so that all our images are all the same size. In Photoshop, that's quite simple. All we need to do is go to Image, Canvas Size, because that's what we're changing, and change the canvas size to pixels. Now as you can see, the width is 1600 pixels, but the height is only 958. So we make the height 1200. You don't need to click anything else in here. We want the extra space added to the size of the image to be black. Right? So we just make sure that that says black and that it shows you a little black icon in the bottom corner. And now you can click OK. And now if you look, the image has had these two black lines added. Now these black lines will not be projected. The projector will see them as dead space and will only project the visible image. If we now look at our image size, we find out that it's 1600 by 1200 by 200. Everything is ideal for projection. Cancel that. The only thing left to do is ensure that your image is saved as a JPEG. Now if you've been working on this image previously in Photoshop, it will be saved as a Photoshop image. That's no good for projection or competition. So we have to make sure this is saved as a JPEG. So we go to File, Save As, find a location where you want to save it, ensure that this box you select JPEG, give your image a name and save. You now get the JPEG options screen. The standard that we'll be working to is quite simple. We work to maximum quality. So we ensure that the number in here is 12 and that this is set to maximum. The format options, we want it set to the baseline standard. So we make sure that this button is highlighted. Once those three things are set, you can click OK and your image will be saved as a JPEG, which you can see up here. Right, that's the first one done. Next, a portrait image. Here we have a vertical image or portrait image. The principle is exactly the same. The only difference is that now we need to set the height, which is the critical measurement, to 1200 pixels. So first off, we find out how large the image actually is. So we go to Image, Image Size, and we find out it's 3444 pixels by 5100 pixels by 300 pixels per inch for print. Again, we do exactly the same. We change this figure first, the resolution, to 200. Now in this case the height is critical, not the width. So we change the height to 1200 pixels high. This again doesn't matter, not at this moment in time. That will be corrected with black space. So click OK. We have our image now, which is the correct height but not the correct width. Needs to be 1600 pixels wide. So we do exactly the same as we did with the landscape picture. We go to Image, Canvas Size, and again change the parameters to pixels, only this time we leave the 1200 and we type in 1600 for the width. And again ensure that you have black as the colour for the added canvas, which means it's going to put black lines either side of the image, and then click OK. And as you can see, we now have added two black panels either side. Again, these will not be projected, just the image will be projected. We can check it again, image size, and as you see, it is 1600 by 1200 by 200. That's perfect. So OK. Like the landscape picture, you now need to save this. Because this picture image had been worked on in Photoshop, it was given a Photoshop extension. We need to change that to a JPEG. So it's File, Save As, and where it is, we make sure that this has got JPEG selected, and again we give it a file name I'll leave it the same and click Save. Again we get the JPEG options box, and once again 12 in the quality, maximum in the box, and baseline standard all selected. OK, your image is now a 1600 by 1200 by 200 JPEG image suitable for competition projection. Finally, the third image. This is the one that a lot of people have problems with. It's a square. It's the same height as it is the width. Alright, in this case, this image is image size 3096 wide by 3096 high by 300. First of all, we change the 300 to 200. Right? Now then, square images go off the height, not the width. If you go off the width, the image will become far too big. So it's the height that is altered to 1200 pixels. And it's now 1200 by 1200 by 200, and click OK. Now square images will always come out the right size. Again, we now need to add the black space either side to make it 1600 by 1200. So we go through the same routine. Image, canvas size, make sure it's set to pixels, and the width now needs to be 1600 by 1200. Leave that one alone and make sure that it's black that is being added to the canvas, and click OK. And that's it. It's now added to the black space either side of the actual square image. We can now again save this as a JPEG. So it's File, Save As, whatever it has written here, we'll just call this Andrea 10. That will do. And save. So already a JPEG, and save. Again, we get the JPEG options, quality 12, maximum, format options, baseline, standard, selected, OK. And the image has now been saved. Well, that's about it. That's how to resize all images in Photoshop, and for all those using Elements, please look at the other video. Thank you.